Hello, everyone. I welcome you to our today's session. This is me, Patricia, again, and I'm so happy to be here today with you. As you already saw, that today's topic is going to be behavioral questions and how to navigate them. And I'm quite sure if you are not someone from the HR department, or if you're not a recruiter or someone who has gone through interviews a lot, then probably this is your first time of hearing of behavioral questions. And that's good because today we're here to try to understand what behavioral questions are, what is the purpose of them, and how to best answer the behavioral questions. And I would say we should start with what behavioral questions are. So why do interviewers even ask those questions? So basically, they are asked for two candidates for them to share some examples of specific situations, scenarios of their professional life and work. And usually interviewers want to get to know you a little bit more of your personal side on how you are as a colleague, and not maybe directly about your hard skills as a professional in that sense. So think about a situation. I think this one describes it best, because think of a situation where someone is telling to you, hey, you know, I'm a very good team player. I really like to work in a team and I think I'm doing it very great. Or there is someone who's giving you an actual example of a situation where they had to, or where they were able to prove their soft skill as a team player. So let's say and imagine that they are some kind of a developer and they were working on a very hard project for 6 months or a year with 5 other colleagues, and they had some challenges. And then the person is describing to you how did they overcome those challenges by presenting their soft skills. Yeah, and to give you a even a bigger insight of what behavioral questions are, we have decided to show you examples of behavioral questions. So those are 5 behavioral questions that are very common for interviewers to ask during interviews. So the first one, as you see, is tell me about a time when you had to work closely with someone whose personality was very different from yours. And once you have gone through all the 5 questions, you're starting to notice that all the questions, yeah, they are related to your soft skill. They are not related to your experience as a professional, but rather as you as a professional, as a person. And yeah, we decided to give you those examples so that you could try to understand what is the character of those behavioral questions. So they're not talking about your work experience, but really about the situation and how did you resolve a conflict or whatsoever with your soft skills. So good. I would say since we have established and I have tried to give you an understanding and some insights about what behavioral questions are, I would say the challenge starts now because it's 12 minutes, one recruiter and one problem, and I will try to do it now. So maybe you have the question how to answer those behavioral questions, because now we know what they are, but what is the best way to answer them? And actually, there is a particular and a specific method to answer behavioral questions, and it's called the STAR method. So now you will also see on your screen what the STAR method is. And yes, it's basically like the star in the sky. And the S in the STAR method stands for situation. So what was the situation? And here it is important that you, by answering the behavioral question and the character of that question that we previously showed you, that you try to give as much as context and the surroundings and the circumstances as possible. So try to give as much details as possible and try to draw up a picture to the interviewer what were your surroundings and the situation that you had to deal with. The T in the STAR method stands for task. So what was your task? What was your goal to what was the situation to achieve your goal? So basically, what was the challenge to resolve? So basically that's something about the task part. Then we're going further to A, which is standing for action. And this is the part where you try to explain step by step how did you achieve the goal that you were having and that you described previously in your step task. And here it is important that you try also to give as much as details as possible. But if you were, let's say, working in a team and you want to highlight your team skills or how much of a team player you are, then it's important still that you try to focus on yourself. So you should be talking from the position, I did this and that, or I was doing this and that. So basically you speak from the position I, and not about any of your colleagues or your work buddies, etc. So it's really important that you maintain the position I did this, or you understand. And then we come to the final step, which is R. So it stands for result. So what was the result of the whole situation? So and here again, same as in the part action, it's important that you are focusing on you and that you try to focus on the positive things. So of course, we're not living in a perfect world. Not everything has a perfect outcome, but still, probably there was something positive, or maybe it was positive after all. But yeah, try to focus on the positive outcome. So that's the main idea here. Right. So then, now you're thinking, okay, so, but what can I do? All right, I now know what behavioral questions are. I know the STAR method, but what can I actually really do in order to, understand it and, like teach it myself a little and a little more. And there's a very, very easy answer to that, because I will start sharing my screen now, as we have prepared a sheet for you. So let me share that in a second. It's called standard question. So are you ready for the interview? This is something that we have prepared ourselves. And here you see as well, a star was born. And basically, the purpose of this is that you just get to practice. So you think of a situation, here we also inserted an example, but basically you can imagine any other question there. So it doesn't really matter as long as, the character of the question fits. It's no problem at all. And so what you can do, you can basically think of the situation and try to really write down, all right, what was the situation? What was the task? And here we have also included some examples. What was the action? What was the result? And here, when you look at the example under the section action, you will start to notice some soft skills like time management skills, or efficiency, or whatsoever. So basically, yeah, as I said, so these are the parts, well, where you really try to put in your soft skills and try to present them to your interviewer. So we are saying that you should highlight at least 3 of your soft skills, because then you can be quite confident that it's well aligned with what the employer and what the interviewee is looking for. And here under that, we have also highlighted some desirable soft skills in this example that I have showed to you, or other desirable soft skills. So here, it's again important that you go into yourself and you try to understand, okay, what are my strengths and what are my best soft skills? And then you can try to think of a way within the STAR method and how to really bring them to action. So I would say in terms of soft skills, as mentioned, focus it on your part where you try to give action. So what were your really tasks to come to the goal, and in the result section. And yeah, and just practice, practice, practice. The more you practice, the better. But that's about the standard question. So this is something, as I said, that we have originally created. It's created by SmartistOne. So if you think that this could help you, then please let us know. We will be happy to give you this, so that you can be a little bit more prepared for your next interview. And yeah, good. So I will stop sharing this file. And so yeah, the thing is that there are thousands of behavioral questions. So really thousands of them, and those that we show to you, those are the most common ones, the ones that candidates have told us where our hiring managers ask those questions to our candidates. But the thing is that those questions are not like one size fits all. So it can be, you know, a lot of questions and very different questions, but the most important thing is that you try to understand the character of it. But for other questions for you to prepare, there's also something that I would like to show you. So I'll share my screen again to show you another sheet that we have prepared. And it's called Storybook. So your storybook, this is where you can really try to look at those questions that you see here. So a moment when you work with a difficult person and you dealt with it, or a moment when you took responsibility and were a leader. And here you can, try before your interview, try to sit down and think of the situations or similar situations that you have to those questions given here, and try to put down like one or two for each question, basically. And yeah, so here we have prepared 7 of those. So these are 7 very, very, very common behavioral questions that you could get asked during an interview. And yeah, this is also something, if you think that it's useful to you, let us know, and we will definitely share this file with you. And yeah, once you have answered to all of those questions and gone through all 7 of them and thought of all the possible situations and scenarios that you have had experience with, then you can try and go through each on one of them and try to answer them with the star method, and yeah, with the file that I showed to you previously. And yeah, I'm very sure once you will, trained, once you will have trained this skill, and once you will have practiced, then yeah, I'm pretty sure that behavioral questions should be absolutely no problem to it. It's just important to understand what is it that your interviewee wants to hear. Yeah, what he wants, or the person wants you to hear to answer. So that's probably the most important part. But good. So this is the storybook. I'll stop sharing that. And I think I have some time left, and this is probably my first time when I'm not under time pressure, and I actually do have some time left over. But I would say, yeah, this was all of me today. And yeah, I think, and I hope that I managed to give you a little bit of an understanding what behavioral questions are, what are you expected to answer once you get asked the behavioral question. And as always, if you have some questions, please feel free to let us know in the comment section, or also reach out to either one of us personally on our LinkedIn's or any other platform. So that's absolutely no problem. And we will guarantee you that we will be super happy to help you out on this. Thank you. Bye.